Yeah, welcome to webinar series from JavaPassion.com on MySQL. Today's topic is topic number 6, triggers and scheduled events. So let's start with the presentation. So we are going to learn what a trigger is, and we are going to learn how to retrieve old and new values whenever you are using update triggers. And we are going to also see how you can schedule certain events. So what is a trigger? Trigger is a set of SQL statement that automatically executed. You can think of it as a triggered SQL statement when a specific event occurs. So a trigger is used for automating some database operations, for example, logging, or you want to create some snapshots or computation of some interesting values. You might compute some summation of certain fields or something like that, and changing data in one table in response to a change in another. So if a particular table changes, then you want to actually trigger something else as well. That something else could be actually adding or updating or deleting some records in other table. So how does trigger works? Trigger is always associated with a particular table, and trigger can be executed either before or after an event, or before and after event. An event type can be one of these three things: insertion, update, and delete record from a table. So if you actually think about the two possibilities of before and after for these three different event type, you can think of there are 6 possible triggers per table. So the combination of before and after, and combination of insert, update, or delete. So this is how you can create a trigger of insert event. So here we are going to use create trigger statement, and this is the name of your trigger. So here I just follow the naming convention here, person tables and before insertion. The name of this trigger can be anything. And this is a before insert trigger, so you say before insert on the table, the target table. And then for each row, whenever insertion happens on each of those insertion, you want to perform this operation. So here in this case, what we want to do is we want to insert another record into another table called the person log. So we are creating we are actually adding a record into another table called the person log. And so this insert statement is a common insert statement you can find. So here we are inserting current user, and then this is the message, and this is the current time, okay, because that's the format of this person log. This is insert after the trigger. So here, instead of before insert, all you have to do is using after. Okay, and the message is going to be different. Here we are going to say about to be added, because that's before insert, and this one is after insert. So we say has been added. So this is the update trigger. Again, the only difference is instead of insert, you're going to use update. Okay, and the same thing over here. This is after update. So let's do exercise 1. We are going to use hands-on lab documentation. All right. So here, exercise 1 is so we are going to actually set up our database, which is MyDB here, and then you're going to create the test table, and this is the same table that we have used before. Okay, so that's the name of the table is person data SQL. All right, so let's create this data. So we are going to I have already set up here MyDB, and then I'm going to create this test table. So I'm going to just copy this and control. Oops, sorry. Let me just start this one again and use MyDB. Oops, use MyDB, and I'm going to copy source, this one, Control C, and click this one. Oops. Open error 2. Oh, okay, so I was using wrong. Oh, okay, that's actually database changed. So let me just try one more time. It's just this one. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just copy this one. All right. Not of a start. Let me just copy this one correctly. Control C and click this one and oh, okay. So I was in the wrong directory. Sorry about that. Actually, I have to be in my triggers directory. So let's just try again. I have to go MySQL triggers. Okay, and then we're gonna start. Okay, and use MyDB. All right, so that works better. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we have just created a test table, and if you want to actually use the select person, Control C here, and then we are going to see 5 records. So now we're going to create the triggers. So this is the trigger.sql file. So here we are actually creating 6 triggers for person table. So this is creating the before insert trigger, after insert trigger, before update, after update, and before delete and after update. And each time, basically what we do is we are adding a record into another log table called the person log. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So let's run this trigger. Let's set up this trigger first. So triggers, oops. Trigger, why I'm having some SQL script trigger SQL. Why am I having some issues here? Oh, I'm making the transaction. My apology. Okay, so I'm gonna go to MySQL and trigger. Okay. All right, and use my DB. Okay, and we are going to again create the test table. Okay, now we are going to create the triggers. Okay, so triggers have been created. So if you want to see the list of triggers, you're gonna use the show command, show triggers. So you can see we have a bunch 6 triggers. So if you actually see the first trigger, the trigger name is person BI before insertion, and event type is insert, table, the target table is person. And the things we want to execute for this trigger is this insert into person log file. Okay. All right. So now let's actually try to insert certain things. So for now, if you take a look at the person log table, there is nothing because we don't have any record. Okay, so empty set. And we have a person table. Again, we have 5 people in the list in the table. So now we are going to insert a new person. So we are going to say insert into person table, and the values is going to be like this. The name of the person is John Kerry. Okay, now if you take a look at the table, then we actually see John Kerry has been added. Now, if you take a look at the person log table, now you can see we have 2 events have been added. So this is the user that actually caused that event, and this is a message this is the message of this record to be added in the person log. Okay. The next one is we are going to update. So let's try update. So we are going to change the John Kerry's first name into Jack. Okay. So now if you take a look at the person table, John Kerry's name has been changed to Jack Kerry. And now, if you take a look at the person log, then we should see 2 extra events because we have performed update operation and before and after update event has been added here. The last one is delete. So we're going to delete that person, Jack Carey, from the table. So delete and then person. Okay. All right. So Jack Carey has been deleted. Now, if you take a look at the person log, then we are going to see again 2 extra events have been added. Okay. All right. So that is trigger. So let's move on to the next topic. Old and new values in update trigger. So in update trigger, you can access old value of a field and new value of a field by using old dot and new dot. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Okay, so this is the way. So here, instead of just adding the simple message, we want to also add the old value of first name and the new name of the new first name. Okay, so since we're actually logging this event, we want to actually capture as much information as possible. So in this case, we're using old and new notation of the first name field. Okay, so this is the before update, and this is the after update. Okay, so let's do exercise 2. So again, this is the same trigger that we have just seen in the slide. Okay, so it's before update trigger, and again, we are basically using this old dot notation. This time, we're just kind of accessing just first name field. Okay, so let's create that trigger. So we are going to create trigger. So trigger has been created. Now let's again see person table. So we have still 5 people. Now we are going to update. Anybody whose age is over 50, we want to change the first name of that person into champ. Okay, so we are just performing update operation. And where age is greater than 50. Okay, so now if you take a look at the person table, you can see there are 2 people whose age is over 50, whose first name has been changed to champ. Okay, now if you take a look at the person log file, okay, then you can see old value and new value has been recorded here. Okay, so this is the old value Sang and new value champ, and same thing for Jack. All right, so that is the old and new value. Now, exercise 3 is scheduled events. So let's take a look at the slide. Scheduled events. So basically, you can actually perform some scheduled events. So it's basically set up SQL statement can be executed on a time-based schedule, and you're going to use on schedule, and then you can specify interval. So interval could be once, or it could be, by the way, just once or repeatedly at predefined intervals. So for example, every day, every 90 minutes, every 2 hours, or things like that. Like triggers, scheduled event is always associated with a particular table. So, the usage example of scheduled events like a log file rotation. So if you have a fixed size of the log file, if you want to actually have your log file to be on a fixed size, and then you want to actually log file to be rotated as the new logs are being added. And you can actually add a statistics gathering. For example, every 2 hours, you want to actually find out the average value of a particular field or something like that. And the counter update. So basically, you can just kind of, count how many updates has been done, kind of things. All right, so this is how you are going to create a scheduled event. So here you are going to use on schedule every 1 minute. So in this case, we are basically creating an event handler for every minute. Okay, so here on schedule, and then you can also specify starting time. So here we can specify the current timestamp. So we are starting right now, and you can also specify ending time. Okay, and then this is what needs to be done on each of that event. Okay, so this is the case that we are creating a scheduled event every 1 hour, and here we are truncating the person log file, person log 3 file. Okay. And here, this is one-time event. So here you can say on schedule, then you can say at, and at this time, this will be executed. So this is actually one-time deal. All right, so let's do exercise 3. So here we created a few events. So here we are creating in every 1 minute from now until 2020 sometime. And basically what we want to do is we want to add a record into person log3 table, and basically who's doing it, and basically contents is usually this message and the current time. Okay. And this is creating an event handler for every hour. So here on schedule every 1 hour. And this is one-time deal. Okay, it's on schedule at. All right. So let's create scheduled event and observe event handler. So here now we are going to actually see person log file. So for now there is nothing. Now if we waited 1 minute, then we are going to see one entry. And if you wait 2 more minutes, then you're going to actually see extra two records to be added, because what we have here is that we have created scheduled events on every minute. We are basically just adding a new record into the table. Okay, so for now you don't see anything, but in maybe 30 or 40 seconds we are going to actually see that. Right? That's pretty much it. Let me just record.